Hey, what's up guys? Today I want to talk a little bit about the grip. I've gotten a lot of emails lately asking me if I could explain my feelings on the proper grip and what I teach. So there's a couple of things that I really agree with that are taught basically all around baseball about the grip, and there's also a few things that I don't agree with. So the first thing is, the thing I do agree with is when we grab the bat, we don't want to have the bat deep in our palms. We want to have it more out towards the fingers a little bit. Just a couple reasons. Get the bat back here in your palms. You're really limited in your wrist action. And also, you can't really get as good of a grip on the bat. If you move it out a little bit and kind of rest it here, if you look at this area right here on your hands where your calluses are usually when you hit, put the bat right in there and you get a much better grip, a much firmer grip. So that's what I do agree with as far as the grip goes. The thing that I don't agree with is lining up the knocking knuckles. You hear this from the time you're 2 years old until you get up in baseball. Everyone starts, especially at the little league level, when they talk about hitting, they talk about the grip and they talk about lining up the knocking knuckles. I think it's overrated. If you look at major league players, if you look at older players, college guys, successful hitters, not many of them line up their knocking knuckles. So I want to talk a little bit today about why coaches are fascinated with lining up the knocking knuckles and why I'm not fascinated, and I don't think it really matters. So most coaches at lower levels will want you to line up your knocking knuckles, and the main reason is if you line up your knuckles, usually it relaxes your elbows in a downward position a little bit more. And that's kind of the way baseball is taught at a youth level, is to have the elbows down to where they're almost both pointed at the ground, nice and relaxed. And if we line up our knocking knuckles, it kind of puts you in that position. Now the reason why I don't teach lining up the knocking knuckles is because I don't teach the elbows down position. If you look at major league players or successful hitters, you won't really find almost anyone when they're ready to hit to where both of their elbows are down. What you will find is that the lead arm will usually be across the chest, parallel to the ground, and no matter where the back elbow starts, some guys start it high, some guys start it low, but when they get ready to hit, their back elbow is going to be up somewhere. Some guys really carry it high, like a Manny Ramirez or a Ryan Howard or a Prince Fielder. Some guys don't carry it as high. It'll be more in this area. But everybody has to get their elbow up. You won't see very many guys at all. 99% of them will be up. You might find one or two guys that are down, but you rarely find anyone that's in a hitting position ready to go and this elbow is down near their side. If you watch youth baseball and younger players, you will find most guys with their elbow down. And that's something that I have to work with guys with, because believe it or not, having the elbow and where the elbow and where this arm and this arm are really have a big effect on your bat path, how your bat's gonna come through the zone, your bat speed, your power, all that stuff. So now that I broke that down, let me talk a little bit about why I think 99% of big leaguers, maybe 100% of big leaguers, are in this position and not this position. It's really important, this lead arm, when you're hitting, your lead arm is going to work in this manner. So when you get in this position here, your arm is back, you get your hands back first of all, but your arm basically, when you go to hit, is going to be in this position across your chest. No matter where the ball is, your arm works this way with your body. If it's up, it's that way. If it's down the middle, it's here. If it's a little lower, it might be over here. But it basically is going to move like this. If you start elbows down and get in this position, it makes it a really tough way to get there. And what you'll see is some guys will have the chicken wing and their elbow has to come way up. It just makes it tougher to just, if your arm is here, it's so much easier to just stay on path and just turn right here with the ball. As far as the back elbow goes, why I like to get the back elbow up and not down. The back elbow has to get up at some point here, because this allows you, sorry about that, this allows everything to work together. Your elbow and your bottom half work together. This starts to drop as your bottom half starts to rotate, and that's what gets your hands behind the ball and get it on path early. If you don't, it's a push swing. So this drops in, your hands stay back, you start to turn. You've probably heard of torque. That's where torque comes from the hands staying back and the bottom half moving. And now all of a sudden everything comes through right here. And then you deliver the barrel. So really quickly, that's why I don't agree with the elbows down, lined up knuckles. Now I'm not saying you cannot line up your knuckles. You can if you want to. I find that most every big leaguer has their knuckles to where their knocking knuckles on their top hand basically line up with their big knuckles on their bottom hand when they get ready to hit. Some guys are slightly in. I've even seen some guys slightly out, but very few are lined up knuckle to knuckle. If you want to get in this position and have your knocking knuckles lined up, you really have to force it there. And if you can see my arm when I do that, everything gets tight because I gotta force it so much to line those knuckles up. Instead of just getting into that position, having your knuckles lined up more like that, and it allows them to be nice and easy. There's no tension in your arms. You're nice and loose, and you get into that good hitting position. So let me show you a couple big leaguers. I just picked out a bunch of random pictures of guys, and we'll kind of show where their knuckles are, and you'll see that there's very few that, actually there's zero, that are lined up knuckles elbow down. Everybody is arm across the chest, back elbow up, and their knocking knuckles on their top hand are basically lined up with their big knuckles on their bottom hand. So let's check it out. Okay, we'll start with Ryan Zimmerman. Knocking knuckles sit just inside the big knuckles, arm across the chest, elbow up. Manny Ramirez. Knocking knuckles line up with big knuckles, arm across the chest, back elbow up. Barry Bonds. Big knuckles line up exactly with knocking knuckles, arm across the chest, back elbow up. Ortiz. Knocking knuckles, big knuckles lined up, arm across the chest, back elbow up. Here's Ken Griffey Jr. Knocking knuckles are basically lined up right here with big knuckles, arm across the chest, elbow up. Hank Aaron, same thing, big knuckles lined up with knocking knuckles, arm across the chest, back elbow up. Ryan Howard, knocking knuckles right here, just inside the big knuckles, arm parallel to the ground, back elbow way up. Same thing with Prince Fielder, knocking knuckles and big knuckles, arm across, back elbow up. Pedroia, his knocking knuckles are actually on the opposite side of his big knuckles. Arm up. Mickey Mantle, a little tougher to see, but arm across the chest, back elbow not as high, but knocking knuckles are almost lined up. And then I had to throw myself in just for fun. Knocking knuckles right here, just inside my big knuckles. So I hope this helps you see what major league players are doing, how they're very similar, how it's very different from what youth players are doing and being taught, and why it's so important to get that arm, that lead arm across the chest parallel to the ground, the back arm up. It's what all the successful players are doing. It's really going to help you with your hitting. So give us a shot. Let me know how it works. If you have any questions, let me know. I know it's a very large topic, and I could talk about it for hours and hours and could do a lot more explaining. I'll do that in future videos. But if you have any questions, definitely don't hesitate to ask. All right, thanks guys. We'll talk to you later.